And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the moment that you have all been waiting for. This is the PWRL Mike&Ike Cup Series Daytona 500, the first race of the point system here in the PWRL Mike&Ike Cup Series. We are getting ready for 42 race cars to take to this incredible high bank super speedway, which has played host to some great finishes in the NR 2003 community. Today we've got Dylan Young picking up the Budweiser Pole Award as he is on the front row along with another Dylan White in the 26. Now Dylan Young, if you've just joined us during this season, ended up getting the win in the Gatorade Duel number 1, and due to the fact that both Riley Ogle and Calvin Malone vacated their spot on the point for this race due to both having to go to backup cars, Dylan Young moved up one row further to start on the pole for today's event. Dylan White was able to survive the Gatorade Duel number 2. He had the second fastest lap in qualifying, so he will start on the outside of the front row for today's race. Leo Rogers, who ran runner-up in Gatorade Duel number 1, will move up one more row to start on the inside of row 2. Alongside of our winner from Gatorade Duel number 2, Rohit Vedarvu in the 22 Caterpillar Toyota. Lots of drivers in this field, quite a few of them in backup cars. They've yet to test them here at Daytona. That could play a big factor into how soon we could have the big one strike here today at Daytona. But enough talk. It's time to get these cars rolling off. They'll complete 2 pace laps. And while they complete those 2 pace laps, at a measly 55 miles an hour, we will show you the 42-car starting grid for today's race at Daytona. Who will survive 30 laps at this racetrack? We're moments away from gritting the green flag before we find out.
And now, here is your starting lineup for today's Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway. Row 1 comprised of Gatorade Duel number 1 winner Dylan Young alongside of Dylan White. Leo Rogers in row 2 alongside of Gatorade Duel number 2 winner Rohit Vedarvu. In row 3 will be Evan Gattuso alongside of Sean Henley. Olga Ogle will line up alongside of Randy Carpenter in row 4. In row 5 will be Barney Ward alongside of Chris Jones. Joe Davis and Riley Ogle make up row number 6. Row number 7 will be Brandon Bain alongside of Sam Young. Row 8, Tristan Tribbett and Pichu London. In row 9 will be Anthony McCurry alongside of Austin LaPlante. Lance Vogel, LaPlante's teammate, will start in row 10 alongside of Mike Becker. Theo Stiegel and Jake Rogers make up row number 11. Carson Gum and Max Skinner make up row 12. In row 13 will be Richard Johnson alongside of JT Teal. Dylan Pote will be on the inside of row 14 alongside of Connor Breton. Row 15 will be Kayla Schmidt alongside Hendrick teammate Seth Cole. Row 16 will be Noah Hart and Morgan Carpenter. In row 17 will be Eric Burton alongside of Sophie Dillon, Anthony Emery and William Duncan in row 18. In row 19 to the rear is the car of Andy Tran. Also to the rear in a backup car will be Ruth Walker. 2 backup cars in row 20 as well with Kyle Sanofsky and Calvin Malone. And finally, in row 21, both in backup cars as well, are Dale Earnhardt Incorporated teammates Austin Ogo and Dawson Wise. That's your starting lineup for today's Daytona 500 from Daytona International Speedway, brought to you by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
So there's your starting grid. Time now for our UPS driver of the race. This is the driver we're going to be keeping an eye on during the course of this event, Riley Ogle, who, safe to say, has had an up-down-up race weekend so far, starting with the speed weeks at Daytona. He ended up in the Daytona 500 qualifying race posting the fastest lap, second only to Calvin Malone, or first, and then second was Calvin Malone. Now, Riley Ogle ended up with about 2 minutes remaining in that qualifying session, wrecking in turn 4, coming down pit road and retiring moving to a backup car. Thus, his fastest lap was void. He vacated the pole for the Daytona 500 and started at the back of the pack in Gatorade Duel number 2. He then, though, was able to pick up enough spots to start up here in the 12th position for the Great American Race. Certainly a far cry from starting on the pole, but nonetheless, Riley Ogle going to be starting up closer to the front than he would have if we did not have the Gatorade Duels number 1 and number 2. Another guy who's pretty happy with the Gatorade Duels, Dylan Young, the winner of the Gatorade Duel number 1. That placed him on the pole for this race due to the misfortune of Calvin Malone, who had to go to a backup car, wrecking in Gatorade Duel number 1. He'll start at the back of the pack with several others who are in backup cars. And here we go. The green flag is waving here in the PWRL Mike&Ike Cup Series. It'll be interesting to see just how long it will take for these drivers to get brave enough to go into a 4-wide situation. Even 3-wide. Looks like 3-wide is going to be no problem. Here they come, 3 by 3 by 3, 3 rows back. Leo Rogers going down to the inside, and I think he's going to get the top spot. Help from Olga Ogo gets him to the point. Now he'll slide up the racetrack, try and block the advances of both the Dylans, Dylan White and Dylan Young. But here comes Olga Ogo with a big head of steam. Lots of drafting help there in the form of Joe Davis and Brandon Bain, as well as Anthony McCurry. And Olga Ogo will lead out of turn number 4. Let's see if she can lead the first lap of the day. Remember, with the point system we're using here for this season, every lap you lead is a bonus point, and the first bonus point of the season will go to Olga Ogo as she leads the first lap of the Great American Race. But here comes Joe Davis, barreling down to the inside. Help from fellow Ford Brandon Bain. Look at that 3 wide, 6 rows deep. Oh, there it goes! There goes the target dodge of Tristan Trivet. Also, Austin LaPlante slaps the wall, coming off of turn 2. The big one has struck early here on lap number 2 of the Daytona 500. Meanwhile, Joe Davis trying to lead us back to the caution. Rear deck lid full of Anthony McCurry, then Lance Fogel. Then you got Theo Stiegel with teammate Carson Gum. Looks like the top 3 will remain single file coming down to the caution flag. And there it is. Joe Davis will lead us under caution. There is Dylan Poteet. He was involved. Poteet in the Quality Care Ford. Noah Hart's in it. Tristan Trivet. Oh, they're spinning off of turn 4. Oh, Eric Burton gets nailed by both Noah Hart and Trivet. Look at the debris in turn 4 now. That's the whole left front wheel well of the Cheerios Betty Crocker Dodge. Morgan Carpenter in the 66 there as well. There is Austin LaPlante. William Duncan involved. His teammate, Tristan Trivet, in it. Dawson Wise appears to be damaged. And oh, look out further up here. Kyle Sanoski gets turned around. Luke Walker involved. Jake Rogers has got damage. Andy Tran is involved. Oh, man, Calvin Malone, who had to go to a backup car after he was scheduled to start on the pole for the 500 before he went to that backup car. He's involved. Looks like there could be some damage to JT Teal as well. The caution flies for the first time today. I'm counted about 10 cars that were involved in this incident, as Joe Davis is going to be the leader under the caution flag. Looks like he's actually going to make an attempt to come down pit road, an indication to come down pit road. Yes, he is. Joe Davis going to come down pit road. Lance Fogel, Olga Ogo, and Theo Stiegel. Everybody come down pit road with the exception of Anthony McCurry, Leo Rogers, and it looks like Richard Johnson in the 8 is also attempting to stay out. 3 drivers decide to stay out. Everybody else coming in. As we will try and find Joe Davis. There he is, pulling into his pit stall. Let's go to our pit road camera here. Watch this battle off of pit road. Olga Ogo pulls into her pit stall. There's Brandon Bain into his. The pole sitter, Dylan Young, will pull into his pit stall. Joe Davis, he's already gone. Whoa, spin, look out. Sam Young gets turned off the nose. Oh, man, gets off the nose of Brandon Bain, and Dylan Young, the pole sitter, gets pushed out of his pit box as well. And now Dylan Young is stuck on pit road. They had to back him up into his pit box. Oh my goodness. Oh, Calvin Malone, they had to rip the hood off his car. And I don't think Sam Young was able to make a pit stop. He had to leave pit road without even making a pit stop. Dylan Young, though, we're getting word that maybe something broke under his car when they just backed it up. But we're going to look at a replay of what put us under the caution for the first time today here at Daytona. Lots of action happening early on here in this race. Well, here it was. Looked like they were in a bit of a four-wide situation here. I think that Trivet was trying to find either a space between Chris Jones and Austin LaPlante or between Carson Gum and Mike Becker, and there just wasn't any area to be able to do that because LaPlante was on his high side, Becker was down low, and there's the contact. Mike Becker turns Tristan Trivet up the racetrack. Nowhere for Austin LaPlante to go. P2 London got a piece of that as well. There you see Jake Rogers. He's held back there. Nowhere that he can go. He just boxed in. Kayla Schmidt. Oh, what a miss right there, but not so lucky for Morgan Carpenter or Andy Tran. They get pieces of it there. And then someone else gets turned further up there. Oh, that's JT Teal, Noah Hart. Oh, William Duncan, Dylan Poteet, Luke Walker, Eric Burton. There's another car back there, and I can't tell who it is. Oh, it's hard to tell. Oh, it's Kyle Sanofsky, along with Max Skinner, got a piece of it. Dawson Wise, oh, gets nailed by Morgan Carpenter. Carpenter's car, the whole left front ripped off. There's Calvin Malone, he got a piece of it. Oh my goodness, look at these cars just littering here. Look at all the dodges. Oh, Eric Burton gets into the Luke Walker machine right there. Sustains even more damage to his car. And there you got Tristan Trivet smoking. Morgan Carpenter is smoking. Somebody further up here is on the apron. Oh, that's Max Skinner. And JT Teal did indeed get a piece of that as well. He spun off that corner as well with Noah Hart and company. And the caution is out. Look at that car, completely destroyed, of Morgan Carpenter. Tristan Trivet, his day definitely done. And there is Eric Burton, his car a wreck. As a matter of fact, it almost looks like he's got flat left side tires, both in the rear and the front. Luke Walker and Noah Hart in the 43. And there is the one car of Dawson Wise. He got nailed, as we saw, by Morgan Carpenter. And there is Dylan Poteet as well, the last driver to leave the scene of the accident that occurred from the turn 2 to the middle of the back straightaway area, putting us under caution for the first time today at Daytona. So we'll get ready to go back to green flag race on lap 7 of 30. Dylan Young, the pole sitter for the Great American Race, we saw that incident between himself, Sam Young, Brandon Bain, all there on pit road. That did not play out in Dylan Young's favor. When they tried backing the car up into the pit box, something broke in the car. They were currently working on it, and I think they've almost got it fixed, but he has fallen a lap down to the leaders. So Dylan Young's going to have a hard time in 24 more laps to try and get himself, 1, back on the lead lap, and then 2, back up through the field to win this thing. So a tough break for the pole sitter Dylan Young. Drivers who were claimed as victims in that incident that happened include Andy Tran, Dawson Wise, Jake Rogers, Max Skinner, also William Duncan, Dylan Poteet, Tristan Trivet, Austin LaPlante, Noah Hart, Eric Burton, and Morgan Carpenter. Front 3 drivers decided to stay out. Everybody else came down pit road. Anthony McCurry, Leo Rogers, and Richard Johnson, they run 1, 2, and 3. Their tires are 3 laps older than the rest of the fields here, where we got 4th place Joe Davis, Lance Fogel in 5th, 6th is Theo Stiegel, Dylan White 7th, 8th place is Carson Gum, Roush Fenway Racing 6, 7, 8 on this restart. Then you got Riley Ogle 9th, and 10th is Rohit Medarvu. Rest of the top 15 will be Sean Henley, Brandon Bain, Chris Jones, Barney Ward, and Randy Carpenter. So we'll get ready to go back under the green flag. It'll be interesting to see just how fresh the tires are from 4th place on back. Only 3 more laps on the tires of the 07, 00, and 8 than the rest of this field. I don't think that's enough to make these cars up here in the top 3 be off the pace to the rest of the field. But we'll find that out as the green flag comes back out on lap 7 of 30. Anthony McCurry, Leo Rogers, Richard Johnson all got off to a good restart. Nobody spun the tires. And it looks like Anthony McCurry is going to come down right in front of Leo Rogers and he will keep the top spot coming out of turn number 2 and onto the back straightaway. Richard Johnson, though, got moved up to the high side. He's going to lose some spots. Now look at the Roush Fenway convention. You got Theo Stiegel in the 6, you got Carson Gum in the 17, Dylan White in the 26, and Joe Davis in the 60 gets a lot of stuff out of Roush Fenway Racing too, so I guess you could throw him into the mix as well. Seeing quite a few drivers up here who are trying to get good runs for their teams who have already had problems here during the course of this race. Of course, Leo Rogers in the 00 is a teammate to Max Skinner, who is already retired from this race. I see Sean Henley up here in the 88 right there on the high side. His teammate Dylan Poteet out of the race already. So these drivers trying to, in essence, help the team out because they know now they got a scratch and claw. Some of their teammates are gone from this event. Right now we got a 3-wide battle though. Theo Stiegel up high, Carson Gum in the middle, down low, Riley Ogle, our UPS driver of the race. Here he comes to the inside. He's going to get a challenge now from Rohit Vedaravu. But Vedaravu peels off onto pit road. So does Chris Jones. So does Randy Carpenter. On lap 9 of 30, maybe some early pit strategy in the works. Vedaravu, Chris Jones, and Randy Carpenter on pit road. There also is Luke Walker coming down pit road. Who else is down pit road? There's Jones. Vedaravu on pit road. Almost looks like they're just going with a fuel-only stop on Vedaravu. I saw Randy Carpenter back there getting tires. It may have been rights only. Rights only for Luke Walker. He is down in the way. Same for Randy Carpenter. As the leader is going to be Carson Gum coming out of turn 4. Now the question is, if the caution comes out, how's that going to play out for these drivers that just made pit stops? I think what they're banking on is a long green flag run, and I think the tire stop for Randy Carpenter and Luke Walker is going to cost them. They are now going to go a lap down to the leader, Carson Gum. I think the fuel-only strategy was a good choice for both Rohit Vedaravu and Chris Jones. Get in and get out. You don't want to spend more time than you have to, and they both got out ahead of the leaders. Randy Carpenter and Luke Walker, they were not so lucky. They have fallen a lap down to the leaders as Anthony McCurry now goes back to the front. Not seeing much of a problem here with these older tires on either the 07 or the 00. Richard Johnson, on the other hand, he's back all the way in the 18th position as this field has all of a sudden seemed to spread out quite a bit. Take a look back here, see how far back Chris Jones is. There he is. Still on the lead lap is the 20. And there's Rohit Vedaravu. I was going to say he's on the lead lap, but no, he's now going to get bypassed by the leaders. Put Rohit Vedaravu down 1 lap to the leaders. Was not able to keep ahead of this pack, and now Vedaravu has fallen down 1 lap. Now he's got to hope for a long green flag run so we can cycle around with him getting back on the lead lap. Meanwhile, here comes Theo Stiegel, Leo Rogers. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead one more time. This time, Leo Rogers down the inside. Help from Riley Ogle and Joe Davis. Off turn 2 they come. This field's still quite spread out. There's this first big pack containing about 12 race cars. Then you got quite a distance back between these guys and Sean Henley. Let's jump back there. Henley's leading a second pack of cars there. In the 88. Seth Cole there, along with Evan Gattuso, Sophie Dillon, Pichu London, and Austin Ogo. Now Henley's starting to break away from that second pack, trying to catch the tail end of this first pack, which is in another 3-wide battle for the lead. Boy, they're able to go 3 wide pretty well here, and they're 3 wide, 3 rows deep. Coming off of turn number 2. Oh, contact! Oh, and they saved it! Wow, Dylan White just nearly turned Joe Davis down there and started a wreck. But there they go! Oh, no, Joe Davis couldn't hold it. He's spinning in front of the field. Leo Rogers is in it. Richard Johnson plastered the back of Theo Stiegel. Riley Ogle, our UPS driver of the race, is in it. Sam Young is in it. Oh, Ogle just pounded the U.S. Army Chevrolet of Sam Young. Connor Bretton's involved. Anthony McCurry, Theo Stiegel. And the caution, that goes without saying, it's out. Leader is Carson Gum. Lance Fogel second. Dylan White third. Barney Ward fourth. And now Anthony Emery has cracked the top 5. But oh my goodness. There is Richard Johnson. There is Leo Rogers. Rogers was up inside the top 5 for most of the day. And now his day is done. Riley Ogle. His day done. Sam Young, teammate to Richard Johnson. That was 2 Dale Earnhardt Incorporated drivers that were involved in that right there. The caution's out again as we are now halfway through this event. Let's take a look at another replay. Okay, we first got to start back here coming off of turn 2. Watch right there. Look at how loose the 60 was coming off that corner. Nearly got hooked by Dylan White. Bounces off of Lance Fogel. And Dylan White bounces off Rohit Vedarvu, but somehow they kept it together. Now watch how this incident occurs that actually puts us under the caution. Watch the 26. Watch how he comes up. He's going to make contact right here with the right rear of the 60 of Joe Davis. That's going to turn Joe Davis up the racetrack and into Leo Rogers. Right there was the contact. The 60 is going to shoot up gradually towards the outside retaining wall. Leo Rogers is there. And there's the contact. They're going to squeeze up into the wall. There's just nothing for anybody to do right there. Oh my goodness, there's the contact. Davis's car spins around. Leo Rogers going to spin around as well, I believe. Riley Ogle, absolutely nowhere for him to go. He's just boxed in as he actually bounced off of Barney Ward's machine. Shoots back up and into this. Look at Theo Stiegel and Anthony McCurry. Nowhere for either of those drivers to go as well. And then, whoa, right there, Lance Fogel and Dylan White made some contact up further ahead there, and they almost got into something there. And watch right here, watch the 8 car come into view. Oh, my goodness. He nailed the back of the AAA Insurance Ford, and Connor Bretton then gets into the 8 of Richard Johnson. Oh, Sam Young, he tried to avoid this by sliding his car up to the high side. But Richard Johnson slid up there, and so Sam Young pounds into his own teammate from DEI. And then there's Riley Ogle, who was involved in that incident already, over in turn 3. He's going to try and maneuver his way through here, but he's not going to be able to. A head-on collision right there with the 01 of Sam Young. Unbelievable. Do a few onboards. Let's start first with Sam Young. Riding aboard the U.S. Army Chevrolet from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Oh, I think Sam Young may have gotten a little contact from possibly Leo Rogers, which sent him up the racetrack and into Richard Johnson. Don't know for certain. Go on board with another driver now. This time we're on board with Sam Young's teammate Richard Johnson. Oh, at 135 miles an hour, what are you going to do? Come to a dead stop? That's impossible. Oh, and that's where Riley Ogle nailed Sam Young. Hard hit. Last but not least, on board with our UPS driver of the race, Riley Ogle. Yeah, right there you saw Leo Rogers just clip. Oh my goodness, you saw Leo Rogers just clip Sam Young. That's what shot him up the racetrack into Richard Johnson. But hard licks being taken here by these drivers. Riley Ogle, Richard Johnson, and Sam Young, 3 of the hardest hits on this, our latest caution. And while we were away, drivers made pit stops here on lap 14 of 30, so we'll follow them. This is not live action. This is a replay of these pit stops. Looks like Evan Gattuso, though, decided to stay out. The only driver who decided to do so. At least that's what it appears. Rohit Vedarvu stayed out because he is not on the lead lap. This will put him back on the lead lap, however, with him staying out unless he decided to come down pit road the following lap. As here we go, watching them make their pit stops. We had an incident on pit road earlier involving the pole sitter Dylan Young along with Sam Young in the 01. And everybody coming off pit road. Looks like the first one off was Barney Ward. Whoa, Brandon Bain nearly getting into Anthony Emery there off of pit road. And contact there between Pichu London and Anthony McCurry, and JT Teal ran into the back of the Office Depot Ford. Seems to be no end of these drivers having problems with this pit road, which is unusual because there's no pit wall that restricts these drivers as to where they can go on this very wide pit road. Let's go back to live action, though, as we're ready for the green flag to drop once more. Well, we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing. My mistake, I thought Evan Gattuso was on the lead lap. Apparently, he did make a pit stop back on that last green flag run and fell a lap down to the leaders. The new leader is Barney Ward, who was the winner of the race off of pit road. He is going to be the leader here on this restart, but he's going to have 5 cars ahead of him, which run in 20th through 25th, which are currently on the tail end of the lead lap. Barney Ward, though, is the leader. Carson Gum is second. Lance Fogel is third. Fourth place is Sean Henley, and Anthony Emery is fifth. Brandon Bain 6th. Dylan White 7th. 8th is Mike Becker. 9th is Kalish Schmidt. And Seth Cole is 10th. Sophie Dillon 11th, 12th is Austin Ogo, Anthony McCurry is 13th, 14th is JT Teal, Olga Ogo runs in 15th, Dylan Young is actually 1 lap down in the 25th position. He will come down to the inside line when we get the 1 to go signal. There is Calvin Malone actually sitting on pit road, an extended stay for him as he still is on the lead lap. He won't be, though, if he stays there much longer. Joe Davis also on pit road. Gotta wonder if maybe there was an incident between those two on pit road. Don't know for certain. And then, on the tail end of the lead lap right now, 20th, Rohit Vedarvu, 21st, Evan Gattuso, 22nd, Randy Carpenter, 23rd, Luke Walker, and 24th, Chris Jones. Well, we'll get the 1 to go signal this next time by. Why don't we take a look back again at another replay, see if we can find out why Joe Davis and Calvin Malone are having extended stays on pit road. And this was after the pit stops had been made back on lap 14. Watch right here. Everybody's coming down the back straightaway at full speed, and they just start backing up into each other. JT Teal, Pichu London, Olga Ogo, and Calvin Malone. Kyle Sinoski's going to run into the back of Calvin Malone, and it's just on from there. These drivers just plowing into each other. But Joe Davis, where's Joe Davis? He's on pit road at this point, I think, still. Where is the 60? Oh, there he is. Oh, he must have hit Calvin Malone. Let's rewind it a little. Did he get into the 60? Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. He didn't hit Calvin. He misses Calvin, I think. Oh, no, he doesn't. He does hit Calvin. And then he hits the 48 of Kyle Sinoski and wheel hops it a little. So Calvin Malone and Joe Davis both involved in incidents that occurred under the caution right there. JT Teal, Austin Ogo, Olga Ogo, along with Kyle Sinoski, all involved as well. And now they've got even more damaged race cars. I think we've actually gotten word now that Calvin Malone has taken his car back behind the wall. We have now received the 1 to go signal. The green flag will wave once more on lap 18 of 30. Working our second caution of the day. I don't think we told you the drivers that were out after that incident. They are going to be the drivers of Theo Stiegel, Leo Rogers, Riley Ogle, Sam Young, Richard Johnson, and Connor Breton. Now I'm trying to get word here about the 16 of Calvin Malone and the 60 of Joe Davis. Let's see where they are. Are they still on the racetrack, or did they actually retire? Looks like Calvin Malone has gone back to the garage area, so that has been confirmed. Joe Davis, same thing for him. Very unusual that we look at the leader way back there. That's Barney Ward. He's got drivers up ahead of him who are on the tail end of the lead lap, as well as the lap car of Dylan Young. It's going to be quite a task that Barney Ward will have to set for himself here to try and maneuver his way through these drivers who are, I believe, still up to speed with the rest of the pack. You gotta bet. Rohit Vedarvu, Evan Gattuso, Luke Walker, Randy Carpenter, and Chris Jones. Number one thing they are hoping for, praying for, is a quick caution flag to put them back on the lead lap. Here we go. Rohit Vedarvu, Dylan Young, they'll come down and get the green flag first, but they're not the leaders. Barney Ward is. The green flag is back out on lap number 18. Let's watch Barney Ward as he'll try and go to work first here on Chris Jones. But now he's got a battle, which is actually for the lead. Carson Gum diving to the inside. Carson Gum looking for the top spot with a little help from these cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap. Sean Henley coming up the inside line as well. Two Fords working together here, trying to slice and dice their way through. Right now, Rohit Vedarvu has cleared Dylan Young. Randy Carpenter, Evan Gattuso, they are still on the lead lap as well. Chris Jones and Luke Walker, though, they're about to go a lap down again to the leaders. No quick caution, which is what these drivers were hoping for. So bad news for those guys. Watch it. Whoa! There's the caution! Teammates Seth Cole and Kayla Schmidt get together. And down to the stripe they come. I don't know if Randy Carpenter beat Carson Gum to the line. Watch it! Oh, Anthony McCurry is flying through the air back there, along with Austin Ogo. And we saw Carson Gum nearly lose her DeWalt Tools Ford there, trying to slow it down for the caution. And I think at the line, yes, Randy Carpenter was put down a lap by a mere few inches. Evan Gattuso, Rohit Vedarvu, though, they will get back on the lead lap. But a huge wreck occurring there. It started with Seth Cole and Kayla Schmidt. There is Cole. Austin Ogo is in it, though. Olga Ogo, Anthony McCurry, that's the car I saw going flying there in the trial, right around the start-finish line. And there is Kayla Schmidt in the 14th position there in the 24. More hard impact today at Daytona. The third caution of the day is waving. And we'll now look back at yet another replay. Actually, before we do that, let's see if off turn 4 there'll be any indications for pit road this time. I highly doubt it. But yet stranger things have happened. Maybe there's some strategy that'll play out here. Are the drivers going to come down pit road this time on lap 19? It doesn't appear to be so. Only JT Teal and Kayla Schmidt, who I believe got pieces of that incident that we are currently working the caution flag under. Let's look back at a replay of what happened. This was coming off of turn number 4 in a 4-wide situation here. And I think Seth Cole's going to get hooked by his own Hendrick Motorsports teammate right there and turn straight up into the wall. The lap car of Chris Jones and Luke Walker involved as well. Dylan White, outside pole sitter in it. Mike Becker, I think, may have gotten through. There you see the 15 of Austin Ogo getting involved. Oh, he pounded the wall there. And I think he comes back up the racetrack in front of Anthony McCurry, perhaps. Oh, look out. Yes, indeed. Oh, look at the air on the 15 as well. Oh, flipping and barrel rolling went the 15 of Austin Ogo, and oh, then Anthony McCurry gets pounded by Olga Ogo. Hard impacts being taken here today. My goodness. And there is Kayla Schmidt, who started the incident. Dylan White, outside pole sitter, involved. Luke Walker involved once again. And the caution flies one more time. Let's do some more onboard cameras. On board with the Nicorette Chevrolet of Kayla Schmidt. He just flat out turned his teammate. Don't know what the deal was there. And the ironic thing is the driver who started the incident was able to drive away from it with hardly any damage. Watch him work his way here past Anthony McCurry and the two Ogos. Let's now go on board with another driver. Going on board with Anthony McCurry in the 07. Oh my... Wow, how do you react to something like that? Oh, man, then he gets nailed by Olga Ogo. There's no time to react. On board with Austin Ogo in the 15, who is running in 12th place. Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. It's a wonder we didn't lose that camera. Wild, wild ride for the 15 car. Our last on board will be with Olga Ogo, who is running 15th, just trying to salvage something today. And then this happens. Oh. Just nowhere for her to go. I think JT Teal may have gotten a piece of that as well. So we are working yet another caution here at Daytona. Getting ready to go under the green flag. When we do receive it, there will be a total of 8 laps remaining in the Great American Race. Drivers involved as a result of this, our latest caution, include Austin Ogo, Olga Ogo, Seth Cole, Anthony McCurry, and I'm looking now to see, we have listed JT Teal 1 lap down. I thought I saw him get a piece of that. I don't know if that was enough to send him back to the garage area. It was. So JT Teal has also gone back to the garage area. We'll get ready to go back to green flag racing. We have a total now, I believe, of 3 drivers who are on the lap down list. And it's appearing that is the case. Just bear with me a second here. I'm trying to find... Oh my goodness. Somehow, someway, Dylan Young has gotten himself back on the tail end of the lead lap. Dylan Young... Oh, that's right, because Dylan Young was a lap down, and he passed the leader Carson Gum there when the caution came out. So he was ahead of the leader. He's back on the tail end of the lead lap. What a comeback for Dylan. Here's the way they line up for the restart. Carson Gum's the leader. 1 lap down in 14th is Randy Carpenter. Second now is Henley. Barney Ward third. Fourth is Lance Fogel, and Anthony Emery is in 5th. Brandon Baines 6th. Sophie Dillon 7th. 8th is Mike Becker. Chris Jones is a lap down in 15th. Dylan White is 9th. A lap down in 16th is Luke Walker, and rounding out the top 10 is Dylan Young. Evan Gattuso's 11th. 12th is Rohit Vedarvu, and Kayla Schmidt is in 13th place. So it looks like 15 cars still on the racetrack, 13 on the lead lap. As here we go, the green flag will come back out on lap number 23 of 30, giving us 8 laps to go in this event. A lot of drivers who have been up front all day long, but we haven't really seen them up here dominating this race. Sean Henley is one of them, as he now moves by the lap car of Randy Carpenter. He is 2nd. Barney Ward in 3rd. Lance Fogel in 4th. And Anthony Emery, who's been silently inside the top 5 for the most of the second half of this race. As here comes Henley, dive bombing to the inside. Last restart, he was helping the 17. This restart, he's passing him. Henley going to the lead. Barney Ward moves to 2nd. Now, Lance Fogel working with the lap car of Randy Carpenter to get by Carson Gum. That's for 3rd place. Lap 24 on the board. A total of 7 laps remaining. Sean Henley, Barney Ward, 1-2, drafting together, trying to move away from this pack, which is now in a double-wide battle. For 3rd place, Lance Fogel going to try and take it from Carson Gum. Meanwhile, up ahead, battle on for the lead. Barney Ward getting the run off turn 2. Dives it to the inside. Into turn 3. Dead heat battle for the lead. Meanwhile, further back, Sophie Dillon rim riding all by herself in 5th. And look at the way that pack just closed up right there. Each driver's giving each other about a half car length of room. And they just closed it up to bumper off turn 4. Now it's turning into good pack racing here with 6 laps remaining in the Daytona 500. 3 wide for the lead. Lance Fogel's going to go down to the bottom, and he's going to go to the front. Oh, watch it. My goodness, they almost had some contact off turn 2 there. That could have been catastrophic. But right now, it's Lance Vogel, side by side, trying to get the run on Henley. Henley's going to dive bomb it, and he made the block. What a block by Henley to keep the lead coming into turn 3 and out of turn 4. I think these drivers can make it the rest of the way on fuel. That will not be an issue. The issue will be who will get to the stripe first on the white flag lap. Right now, Lance Vogel seems content to ride behind Sean Henley, as they will be 1-2. Meanwhile, Sophie Dillon, Barney Ward, not surprised to see those two working together as they're rim riding on the high side. Evan Gattuso right there in the 4. Look at him make his move up here through the field. Think back to the Daytona 500 qualifying. He was dead last in qualifying. Finished well in the Gatorade Duel, though. Moved up to a good qualifying spot. He's up here in 4th place now. And look at the pole sitter. Fell a lap down earlier on after a pit road incident. Got back on the lead lap. 3rd place right now is Dylan Young in that Penske Dodge. Lots of drivers working their way up here. Here comes Evan Gattuso, for heaven's sakes. Up to the 7th position now. After he made a green flag pit stop, which put him down a lap. He stayed out, was on the tail end of the lead lap for a restart, got the quick caution, and now is up inside the top 10, now battling side by side for 6th with Evan Gattuso and Sophie Dillon. Meanwhile, Dylan Young to the front, passing Sean Henley. That is for the lead as they come out of turn number 4. Side by side still. Sean Henley seems to be strong on that high side, and he'll slingshot around and keep the lead one more time. 3 laps to go here in the Great American Race. Henley looking strong, but lots of company knocking on the back door. Dylan Young, Rohit Vidaravu, Barney Ward, Carson Gum, Lance Vogel, Evan Gattuso, they're all in the mix there. Also seeing Dylan White start to make his way up here. It's been a while since we talked about him. He's been involved in a few incidents during the course of the day. And how about Anthony Emery and Brandon Baines coming up here as well in the 21. Oh, look out. Oh, Rohit Vidaravu can't make it. He was off pit sequence with the rest of these drivers, and he will not be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. Tough break for him, as he's going to give up what could have been a top 5 finish. Who knows? Could have been a win, as he's going to have to come down pit road and get a little bit more Sunoco in that fuel tank. Meanwhile, 1.5 laps to go. Henley, Carson Gum now in a side-by-side battle for the lead. We've seen Henley do tremendously getting into the entrance of the corner with the high side. But Carson Gum's going to battle it down to the inside. Side by side between these Fords. Here comes Barney Ward, Sophie Dillon. They are side by side. That is for 3rd. Meanwhile, Evan Gattuso, Lance Vogel, Dylan Young in the mix, and then the lap car of Brady Carpenter. White flag in the air. This is it. It's broken up now into 2 packs. This first pack's going to be the pack to decide it. Will it be Henley, Gum, Sophie Dillon, Dylan Young, Lance Vogel, Evan Gattuso, or Barney Ward to take the checkers? Still a dead even heat between Henley and Carson Gum. They've had this going on now for a full lap in a side-by-side battle. Barney Ward tries to stick it right in the middle there. Can it fit? Here comes Sophie Dillon to the inside. Henley on the high side. Sophie Dillon down low. The meat and the sandwiches, Carson Gum. I feel a photo finish coming. Off turn 4 for the final time. Down low, Sophie Dillon. Up high, Carson Gum. At the stripe, by mere inches, I think it was Carson Gum with the victory here in the Daytona 500. What's the official word? It was indeed Carson Gum by 3/1000ths of a second over the DLP Texas Instruments Chevy of Sophie Dillon. Oh my goodness. What a win for Carson Gum. Barney Ward's going to get 3rd. Evan Gattuso 4th. Lance Vogel will finish in 5th. Then you got Sean Henley 6th. Dylan Young 7th. Mike Becker comes out of nowhere. He'll finish in 8th. Kayla Schmidt finishes the day in 9th. And 10th place will be Brandon Bain. Oh my goodness, what a run for Carson Gum. What a race. I mean, what a race. What a finish today. That's what the Daytona 500 is all about. And Carson Gum will start the season off with a bang, holding the victory of the Daytona 500. Let's now look at the official finishing results. So we took you down through the top 5 already. Carson Gum led the most laps today, even if they were not all consecutive. 8 total laps led by Carson Gum, the most of any driver here today. Then you got Sophie Dillon, Barney Ward, right on down there. Sean Henley, I believe he led the second most amount with 6. Dylan White going to finish the day in 11th. Anthony Emery finished in 12th. Rohit Vedarvu having to make that pit stop, just couldn't make it the rest of the way. He'll have to settle for 13th place, but still a good run for him. And these lap-down cars still finished fairly well. Randy Carpenter 14th, Chris Jones 15th, and Luke Walker in 16th. Everybody else, though, all retired from the race, as you can take a look down the list here. There's from 21st on down through 40th. A lot of these wrecks occurring with multiple car crashes and a lot of hard hits. And you take a look all the way down here at the very bottom with Eric Burton and Morgan Carpenter. The biggest loser of the day would definitely have had to been Leo Rogers. Fell from starting in the 3rd position all the way down to the 27th place for his finishing result. Biggest gainer, Sophie Dillon, picked up 32 spots during the course of this race. Started 34th and finished with a runner-up position, missing out on the win by only 3 1/1000ths of a second. Let's take a look now at your official point standings heading into next week. So here's a look at it. Carson Gum will have a 15-point advantage over Sophie Dillon and Barney Ward heading into next week's race. Evan Gattuso, Lance Vogel, Sean Henley, Dylan Young, Mike Becker, Kayla Schmidt, and Brandon Bain. That will be the top 10 in the point standings, basically the way they finished here today. Take a look further down here. From 21st place on down through 40th. Lots of drivers, lots of big names down there that are going to need good runs next week. Richard Johnson, Connor Breton, Jake Rogers, Max Skinner, William Duncan, Dylan Poteet. And of course, Eric Burton, Morgan Carpenter. These drivers really need good runs to be able to get back into contention next week, which will be at Auto Club Speedway, the Auto Club 500 at California Speedway in Fontana, California. Hope you'll join us for that, as we will have 38 laps of exciting racing there. And I'm sure it's going to be a wild one. If it's anything like this Daytona 500, we're in for one exciting race. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. Congratulations once again to Carson Gum on the Daytona 500 victory here today. You've been watching the PWRL, where real racing happens, on the NSRA Sports Channel.